Hello and welcome to ThunderSteve85 Gaming. Thank you for tuning in today to my console review of Wrestlequest. So to jump right into it, guys, if you're wondering who this game is for, I'd say this game is for anyone who considers themselves fans of the JRPG genre or professional wrestling. If you grew up watching guys like Macho Man Randy Savage or Andre the Giant, you're going to appreciate this game. As a big wrestling fan myself, I have no doubt in saying that you will enjoy yourself and want to tip your hat to the developers for the amount of care they put into ensuring that every wrestler's real-life persona, charisma, and vocabulary is accurately represented in the game. So as far as the story, Wrestlequest follows two protagonists, Muchacho Man and Brink Logan, as they both aim to win championship titles in pro wrestling. Muchacho Man is a new wrestler who believes everything in wrestling is real, while Brink Logan is a lower-ranking wrestler in his father's wrestling company. Brink wants to become a champion, but also worries about disappointing his family's business. Both of these characters catch the attention of Mr. L.F. Font, who essentially plays a sort of Vince McMahon role in the game. Mr. Font is not satisfied with just being at the top. He wants to control every wrestling company and uses aggressive business tactics and illegal methods to do so. The paths of these characters cross as they fight to save not only the world, but also the world of pro wrestling and reality itself. Now, in my time playing Wrestlequest, I've really enjoyed the story and each character they've introduced. If you know pro wrestling, you can tell that many characters in the game are meant to resemble the likeness and personality of professional wrestlers that they probably weren't able to secure the rights for. I thought the developer did an excellent job of walking a very fine line so that hardcore fans of wrestling could gain some additional enjoyment out of spotting which character is supposed to be which wrestler without the developer getting slapped with a lawsuit. A few examples of what I'm talking about is like Brink Logan. He is supposed to be Bret the Hitman Hart. One of the items he's equipped with is the classic Bret Hart stunner shades. In conversation, he speaks in third person, stating that he is the expert of execution. His entire family is in the wrestling business. It's referenced that Brink and his brother learned how to wrestle from their father in the basement of their home, and the location looks very much like Canada. This is all of Bret Hart's actual story, but presented as Brink Logan's. Pretty brilliant. Like, the developers definitely know their pro wrestling history. In another example, one of the characters that joins your party early on in the game is named Bruder. Again, it's super obvious that he is supposed to be Hulk Hogan. His motto is to eat your protein and talk to your makers, which is very similar to what Hulk Hogan used to always say, which is to say your prayers and eat your vitamins.
Train, say your prayers, eat your vitamins, be true to yourself, true to your country, be a real American.
Bruder tells his opponents that his 36-inch Cobras are going to crush you. And we all know that Hulk Hogan used to always talk about, I believe, his 24-inch pythons. His moveset is basically the same as Hulk Hogan's. Bruder's physique, wrestling attire, all the way down to the bandana, calling everyone brother, and his mustache is made so that people with little knowledge of pro wrestling will be like, man, that character totally reminds me of Hulk Hogan. And it doesn't stop there, guys. There's characters in the game that represent other areas of the 80s and 90s pop culture, from Donnie Darko to a female version of Solid Snake, and even a Transformers in the game. It's clear that the developers love the 80s and 90s, and they found many ways to show us that. There's plenty more, but I'm going to stop there so you guys can experience the same enjoyment of discovering these characters that I did. Now, as far as the control and gameplay, the gameplay is much of what you guys would expect from any JRPG. You know, you explore different environments, you go to different towns, you fight enemies, you level up, you buy new items to equip. It's the stuff that we know and love, and probably why we appreciate the JRPG genre. One gameplay aspect that differentiates Wrestlequest from the majority of JRPGs is that every battle has active timed battle commands, requiring you to press the button that appears on screen to either strike the opponent, perform a gimmick, which is what your special moves are called, or to counter an enemy's attack. It's reminiscent of Super Mario RPG's battle system, which I have extremely high praise for. but it takes it a step further where nearly every attack requires you to press the correct button within the given time frame in order to land the attack. Personally, I would like to see more JRPGs employ this battle mechanic, as it does help to make the battles more engaging and exciting. Graphically speaking, you've seen the footage of the gameplay, and I must say that Wrestlequest has some aesthetically pleasing 2D backdrops and animation with plenty of location variety. They added a lot of really nice touches to make this a very nice looking modern day 2D RPG. Be it the purple and orange colored lamppost showcased in the Halloween themed town of Seasmore, to the sun reflecting off the water on the overworld map, or the snow falling from the sky in the Great North. I found myself always looking forward to what the next area might look like. Now, to get into the sound of the game, throughout the game, the characters have their own one-liners that are enjoyable and very representative of the wrestler the developers intended to portray, and the one-liners help to make it even more evident. Now, as far as the soundtrack goes, it doesn't really stand out to me like so many of the other soundtracks found across the JRPG genre. For the most part, it feels pretty generic and even rushed at times. The overworld map music feels a little bit like elevator music, and for some reason, the volume is very low on the overworld map. Another thing that I found to be a bit perplexing is that there's really no battle theme. It's just a generic cheering sound from the crowd, and to me it feels like there should be music playing, but there's not, and it makes for a very quiet battle. I've tried to look at this both ways, like maybe the developers thought it would be more authentic to pro wrestling to not have a battle theme playing during your fights, but it makes the fights feel oddly quiet. I don't know if they can go back and patch in a battle theme, but whether it was or wasn't intentional, it feels like this was an oversight by the developers. Now, if you're wondering how long it takes to actually beat the game, according to the developers, Wrestlequest is jam-packed with over 50 hours of gameplay. Sadly though, I was only able to reach 23 hours of gameplay before a game-breaking bug forced me and many other players, according to the official Reddit group, to tap out until the developers patch the game. I'll talk more on this later. Now, as far as the difficulty goes, guys, Wrestlequest doesn't have an option to change the difficulty level, but based upon my playthrough thus far, the game's difficulty feels pretty well balanced. Not too easy, not too hard. You still have to think twice before you initiate a fight, because you may need to restore your health first or open the menu and do a quick save in case you die. I definitely found myself trying to come up with the best fighting strategies to empty my opponent's health bar while using the least amount of turns. To me, that's always a good sign when you have to think twice about how you're going to defeat an enemy versus not having to put any thought into it and being allowed to just get away with defeating every enemy by spamming the basic attack button. Now, as far as your replayability and value goes, I would say that in my opinion, the value is definitely there, as the game is priced at only $29.99. For a game that boasts 50 hours of gameplay, it actually feels quite generous. 50 hours of entertainment priced at $30 amounts to only 60 cents for each hour of gameplay. So it's not often that you can get a game with 50 hours of content where you actually want to play all 50 hours of it, and for it to only cost $30 out of the gate. With that frame of mind, I think the game has superb value. So to conclude, guys, my personal opinion on Wrestlequest is that I really like Wrestlequest. I enjoy it thoroughly. I want to play more of it, but not in the game's current state. Wrestlequest needs more time in the oven. There are numerous areas in the game that will just completely freeze your game. There have been times where I went into the menu to save the game and it just freezes. That shouldn't happen. This happened more than 10 times, causing me to have to repeat steps I had already completed in the game. There's a bug that causes you to lose equipped items. There's a bug where after you complete a fight and you return to the main world, your character spawns into a cage that you can't get out of, causing you to restart from your last save. I replayed the most recent fight I went into 8 times, and only on the 8th time did my character not spawn in the cage. I had hoped that this was going to be the last bug, but it wasn't. I'm now 23 hours into the game, and I've run into a bug where I can no longer progress in the game. I filled out a developer feedback form describing the issue, and I sent footage of the game crashing at the exact same spot more than 3 times. I personally tried to get past this spot 8 times. I am officially at an impasse, and now I must wait for the game to be patched, and I have no timetable on when the game will be playable again. In my opinion, this is unacceptable from any developer, be it big or small. Wrestlequest was supposed to originally release on August 8th, but developer kLuTz announced a delay just a few hours before the official release date on August 8th to a new date of August 22nd. Their official statement said, when performing final checks on one of our launch platforms, we discovered it was possible for players to lose their save game progress when playing Wrestlequest. I do find it interesting that even after delaying the game for 2 weeks, I and many others have had their game crash multiple times while trying to perform a simple save state, and that there's a plethora of other bugs that cause your game to freeze, stopping you in your tracks from ultimately having a good time. So until the game is completely patched, guys, I cannot in good conscience recommend purchasing it. Now, the developers already posted a blog on Steam stating all the fixes they are working on, which is great. But after reading the entire blog, I still have no idea if the game crashing bug that I ran into will be squashed or not. And the blog unfortunately does not give a timetable for when people who bought the game can expect to continue their quest. So my only suggestion, guys, if you want to play this game, is to keep an eye on the game's Steam page for patch updates. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed today's review and hopefully found it helpful. If you did, please hit the like button, and if you're new to the channel, please help me out by subscribing. Thank you, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, please smash the like button, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Over here to the left, you can see all my social media. I do all my video game live streaming over on Twitch at ThunderSteve85. Once again, guys, thanks for tuning in. And remember, you're never too old to play video games.